Hey everyone, it's Tamar from the Road to Health podcast, where I teach people how to reclaim control over their health and empower them to gain the firm belief in their ability to achieve their goals. You are listening to the Million Pound Mission podcast. Here's your host, Adam Shively.
Hello, my friends, and welcome to another episode of the Million Pound Mission podcast. It's your buddy Adam, the PhD, the previously heavy dude, and this is episode number 365. We're talking 7 ways to improve your low-carb results. And I know for whatever reason, I've got a lot of people coming in now looking for some tips around living low-carb life, so I will deliver. I listen to you guys, what you have to say, and I love to deliver on the things that you're curious about. So we'll dive into that here in a moment. First, I want to shout out my friend Tamar Medford from the Road to Health podcast. Thank you for introducing me here for this episode. Make sure you guys go and check out the Road to Health podcast. If you like this show, you'll love that one. Check it out. Also, we are doing our community promo this week. We've got an amazing free community. And before you get tripped up on it, like, this isn't just a Facebook group. A lot of podcasts, like, join our community at some Facebook group. And that's kind of okay for the looky-loo lurkers out there that just want to look every once in a while in the Facebook group but not participate. But if you're somebody that wants to be in a tight knit community, if you need accountability, if you need some support, if you need some to feel like you're in a tribe of like-minded people and you need some coaching, which I provide, it's all free. We do Zoom chats, we do hot seats, we do challenges, we do accountability sprint week, we assign accountability partners. This is a leveled up free community. This is not your run-of-the-mill average Joe or Jane free Facebook group community. This has a lot more to it, much more than just a Facebook group. If I have sold you on this idea and you're like, yeah, that's for me, Adam, I'd like to opt into that idea, then head on over to millionpoundmission.com, sign up for my free community. Now, if you guys are in the Facebook group, doesn't mean you're in my free community. That means you're just in the Facebook group and you may be missing out on all this other stuff. So I've got recommended resources, podcast episodes I want you to check out, other podcasts I think you should be checking out. It's all in this hub of my free community. So again, check it out, millionpoundmission.com. Let's talk low carb. I love talking on this topic because this is how I live. I live in the low carb space. I've got great results from living low carb. I've dabble between the keto space, the meat and bricks, the carnivore. I float in that zone. So I've got a lot of experience with this now for well over a couple of years at this point. So I've got 7 tips, 7 strategies, 7 things to consider implementing to help you ramp up your low carb results. The first one, I know some of you are going to stab yourself in the face with a keto brick on this one. I need you to make sure that you are accurately tracking, weighing, measuring your macros, your food, your calories, and things like total carbs, not net carbs. And this is a huge hurdle for a lot of people. And I know what you're thinking, like, oh my God, but Adam, it takes so long to weigh my cabbage and load it into my Fitness Pal. Oh my God. And I'm thinking, like, I hear a lot of grown ass adults talking this way. And I'm like, it can't take more than 15 minutes a day. I mean, there's no way. I probably spend 5 minutes or less tracking, and I eat a hell of a lot of food, and I'm weighing and measuring a lot of stuff. I feel like it's just not a valid excuse. I feel like your why is not big enough if you are held back by weighing something and tracking it. And you act like it's such a pain in the butt. And I feel like these people a lot of times are just afraid of that personal responsibility and accountability of actually saying, all right, here's what's actually happening. We want to create these stories in our head that are like, here's what I think's happening, and here's who's to blame for it. And of course, I have no time to track and weigh things because my spouse doesn't support me or my boss is a jerk. Like that, that is not something you can control. What you can control is what we are putting in our mouth and how we measure it. That is a very controllable item, and I want you to start controlling it, my friend. No more excuses. Make progress, not excuses. Track your calories and macros, especially if you're getting random results that don't make sense to you. Let's find out what's actually going on instead of just being frustrated and just guessing. Like, oh, let's just guess on another thing instead of putting in the work to see what's going down. Now, I know there's a certain segment of people, especially in the low carb space, they're like, Adam, calorie is not a real thing. Well, let's forget the word calorie and just use the word food volume. Because what I know is that 10 steaks is more food volume than one steak. And if you are gaining fat and you're eating 10 steaks, let's try eating 9 steaks. There's still volume measurement there, and let's just see what happens. And so food volume can replace the word calorie if you don't believe in the word calorie, which I think is kind of weird, but to each their own. I'm not going to judge you. We're still friends. All right, the second tip, I need you to find your satiation point. All right, and this is important because I tend to get a lot of people that bounce into my community coming from a really low calorie standpoint. For whatever reason, a lot of people have been doing Weight Watchers, and I've never really expressed my full opinion about Weight Watchers. I'm not a huge fan. I see these people, and just from my experience with people like, yeah, I did Weight Watchers, and here's where I'm at. Like, they lose a bunch of weight, but their habits and their calorie levels, and their metabolisms are wrecked. Like, I got people that I'm eating 800, 900 calories once I get them to track what they've been eating following a Weight Watchers or a WW program. And it's just so low, and they still have weight to lose. Like, they're still like 50 pounds away from their goal, and they're like, I can't do anything. I'm like, well, you can't eat less. So we got to figure this out. So I've rehabilitated a lot of Weight Watchers situations where people are just kind of stuck and frustrated, and they're like starving themselves slowly, and their metabolisms are a mess. And I'll get to an example here in a minute. But one way we start to rehabilitate a wrecked metabolism is we find your satiation point. So what I want you to do for 14 days is eat until you are full. Do not hear that as see how much you can eat. It is eat until you are full, until you're satiated, and then take that average number over 14 days. Accurately weigh, measure, track everything, and see what we're at for 14 days. Take that average calorie mark, and that's our starting point. A lot of people are confused and frustrated. They use calorie trackers and calculators and all this. I'm like, all right, that's cool. That's a cool shortcut. Let's actually find out what it takes to keep you full. And that's a good place to start. Then we can start, we can work from that foundation. So spend 14 days and take the average. That's our caloric starting point. That's my next tip. Third tip, I call it the 100-100 protocol. So this is an add-on to the second tip. Once you've got your calorie mark, I want you to keep that calorie mark for another couple of weeks and go, okay, I'm going to shoot for over 100 grams of protein, under 100 grams of carbs. If you've never been on a low-carb lifestyle or low-carb diet, this is a great place to start. This is kind of the starter kit. 100-100 protocol. Over 100 grams protein, under 100 grams carbs. Very important. Don't mix those up. Over on protein, under on carbs. 100-100 protocol. Do that for the next 2 weeks. And just finding satiation point for 14 days and then doing 100-100 for 14 days, I have people crushing it, like losing weight like it's going out of style. They're full, and we are rehabilitating their metabolism. They're back to going, okay, body, you can start burning again because we have enough good quality fuel. And we're starting to dip into the low carb situation, and it's a very gentle place to start. Now, if you've been doing keto and you've been accurately tracking and you're like 20 grams of carbs per day, that tip's not going to help a whole lot. So I wouldn't recommend going like up your carbs or anything like that. But if you need a little fine tuning and haven't been tracking, it might be a great place to start. And that is my third tip. The fourth tip, once we have figured out your calorie point, your satiation point, if you're really low, I like to use a calorie ramp up to wake up your metabolism. All right. So for example, I don't like to see anybody under 1,500 calories per day. Like, that's still a low number to me for even a small human being. Like, it's just, and I know a lot of you are like, oh man, that sounds like a lot. 1,500, it's a 4-digit number, Adam. That's a lot. But, even like the stupid food pyramid RDAs is 2,000, and that, that's ridiculous. So it's probably actually more than that for the active, average, healthy American. So if you're floating down there, a lot of people float in the 1,000, 1,100, 1,200 zone. I do a ramp up to get them to at least 1,500. Right. So for example, I started working with a client about a year ago that had great success with Weight Watchers, but over 100 pounds lost. Like, congrats. That's huge. You are healthier now. I'm not saying Weight Watchers like messed her up or anything like that, but the point she was at was extremely low calorie, still wanting to lose weight, can't go down in calories. She was over exercising, trying to burn off calories that she was eating. Just the relationship and the mental standpoint wasn't good. We had to ramp all this up. We had to wake up her metabolism. So she trusted me. And I asked her for that. I said, listen, You got, as a coach and client here, you got to trust me. I'm going to take care of you. I promise you're not going to gain 100 pounds back. We're going to start ramping up your calories. Are you on board or not? And she said, yeah. So we spent several weeks, AKA months, ramping up from a very low calorie state all the way up to a 1,700 calorie mark. And I'll tell you what happens next. I'll conclude that story in the next tip. But when you do a ramp up, I like to do it by 50 calories per week. So if you're at 1,200, then the next week you'll go to 1,250 as your goal number. The next week, 1,300, then 1,350, then 1,400, 1,450, 1,500. You can hang out at 1,500 for a couple of weeks, but eventually I love to try to push people again with a 50 calorie per week bump to that 1,700 mark. If we can get you in that 1,700 to 2,000 zone, I'm going to feel a lot better than if you're in that like 700 to 1,200 zone. A lot better. All right. And with my client, I promised her, I'm like, you're not going to gain 100 pounds back as we do this. We're going to wake up your metabolism and let your body know it's okay to start burning fat again. All right. So that's the whole purpose of this. So that is how you do a calorie ramp up to wake up your metabolism. Next tip number 5, use a calorie ramp down to shred some fat. So once you've been in that 1,700 per day calorie or greater for several weeks, and I made my client stay there for a couple of months, like, listen, your metabolism is still kind of running at a snail's pace right now. Let's look for some signs that it's in a good spot, like you're hungry, you're building lean muscle mass, you're dropping body fat, you're recovering well, you're sleeping well. Once we have those signs, then we can start to tweak the calories down just for a little bit. We do a ramp down, again, 50 calories per week, and this is all about peeling body fat off. So we ramp down from 1,700 to 1,650 to 1,600 to 1,550 to 1,500. That's my low mark. I don't take people below the 1,500 mark. Might hang out there for a couple of weeks, 2 to 3 weeks. And, we did this with my client, and to conclude her story, like, she's extremely happy. She's at an all-time best weight, body composition. She's talking about her arm muscles showing up and all this cool stuff. And that took months of waking up and repairing her metabolism by ramping up the calories first, not gaining virtually any weight at all, just muscle if we gained anything. And then we take this new body and ramp down just a little bit, peel some fat off. And then right now we're starting to ramp back up. And I told her, I'm like, you're not going to gain body fat by slowly ramping up to 1,700 calories. You're going to gain some muscle. Weight might go up slightly, but nothing that's going to be like in the freak out zone at all. And you end up at that 1,700, or maybe we go up to 1,800 this time and reset there at a totally new metabolic state, a new body composition, and then we can do another ramp down eventually to peel some more body fat off. And each time you go through this cycle of ramping up, ramping down, you end up in a better body composition, in a better metabolic state. So that is the 5th tip, is to use a caloric ramp down to shred some body fat, 50 calories per week. Don't recommend going below 1,500. And again, if you're like, Adam, I'm into this idea, but I'm kind of confused about it. Like, what should I do exactly? This is where my coaching comes in. Like, this is where I am the ace in the hole, where you can tag me in and I map all this stuff out for you. We go hand in hand, and my coaching is not that expensive. So check it out. Next time you hear me talking about, hey, coaching applications open, dive in there, because I only take a few people per month just because I pay a lot of attention to you guys. I hold your hand, and you've got access to me, we do coaching video chats, and every week we do check-ins every single day. And that's something I take a lot of pride in. So something to consider, shameless plug for the 28-day coaching program. Let's see. Let's do another shameless plug here. 14 days of carnivore. This is something I like to do as kind of a challenge, as a reset, you could call it a detox if you wanted to. But this is my 6th tip. Add in a carnivore little sprint for at least, I like 14 days. That way you get some good results, but you're really going to drop carbs way down, obviously, eating only meat and meat products. And I think that, I've done episodes with Sean Baker, Dr. Ken Berry, Danny and Robert, Danny Vega, Robert Sykes. You can check out any of those episodes. We dive into a little carnivore land. I've got a course that I created with Danny Vega called Couch to Carnivore. That's couchtocarnivore.com. Check that out if you want a carnivore resource. But carnivore is a great way if you've been doing keto or low carb for a while and you want to spark new results. I sure as hell got great results the first time I did carnivore I think I did it for 8 weeks straight. And body fat went down, muscle mass went up, recovery went through the roof, got off all my allergy meds, like really good stuff started to happen. And it was definitely a spark to my low carb lifestyle. So check that out. 14 days, carnivore, boot camp. Let's see. Last tip, add in some intermittent fasting. Now, caveat, asterisk, whatever you want to call it. If you are in that super low calorie zone, don't add intermittent fasting. You don't need another stress telling your body that you're starving. So this is for the people that are in that like 1,700 plus per day. Let's add in some intermittent fasting. You're probably going to get a good result from this. Now, females especially, I prefer to coach them and say, let's start with a big eating window and trim it back by 30 minutes per week. So maybe we start at a 10-hour eating window. And the next week it's a 9.5 hour, then a 9, 8.5, 8. I don't like to take people too much smaller than an 8. I don't think it's necessary. I think you're going to get great results. And again, if you're in that really low calorie, have a hard time getting calories in already, eating one meal a day with a 22-hour like fasting window, I just don't feel like that's going to accomplish what you're wanting to accomplish, if I'm being honest. All right. So adding in intermittent fasting, starting with a large eating window, trimming it down to around 8 hours. That's what I do personally. So I eat my first meal at 9 a.m. I am wrapped up and done eating. I eat my second meal from 4 to 5, and I'm done. And I fast the rest of the 16 hours of the day. And it keeps me feeling good. It keeps my system running clean, and I enjoy all the benefits of intermittent fasting, that autophagy, as I love to say. All right, let's do a quick recap of the 7 ways to improve your low-carb results. The first one, make sure you are accurately tracking your macros and total carbs. Number 2, find your satiation point. Number 3, use the 100-100 protocol. Number 4, use a calorie ramp up to wake up your metabolism. Number 5, use a calorie ramp down to shred some body fat. Number 6, do a 14-day carnivore challenge. And then at number 7, add in some intermittent fasting. And that, my friends, is those are a few ways that you can ramp up the low-carb results. If you have any questions about this, if you have any comments, if you have any other bonus tips, if you think I'm hitting the Weight Watchers community too hard, send me a DM at Million Pound Mission on Instagram, or join our free community and let's have a chat in there. That again is available at millionpoundmission.com. I appreciate you guys. I love interacting with you. You'll see once you dive into some of our community chats and things like that, like I'm invested, and I love knowing what's going on in people's lives, what challenges they're going through. Like I know my people that are dealing with the fires in California. I know my people that are impacted by coronavirus. Like I know what's going on. You guys know what's going on in my life. And I love to have a conversation. And in podcasting, I have another show called Podcasting Business School, where I kind of preach to podcasters. And one of the things I talk a lot about is like having a conversation. We're not having a conversation now. I'm instructing, I'm teaching. It's a one-way street. I love to have conversations with you guys where you can talk back. So whether it's me going live and we're chatting there, or you're inside doing a Zoom chat or a hot seat and we're talking back and forth. I love to see you. I love to hear your opinions. I love to hear your thoughts. That's how I get better. That's how I learn how I can serve you better. So if you feel like you need that, jump in. All right, my friend, I'm extending my hand. All you have to do is reach out and grab it if you need some help. All right, my friends, I appreciate you. I'm excited about our community. I'm excited about who we are as a group and what we're accomplishing. And that's about it. I will sign off. I will wish you well. Get out there and own it. Every meal, every workout, every day. I'll see you in the next episode. Hey there, podcast fans. Just a quick reminder that I've got an amazing free community ready to accept you with open arms. The Mission Possible crew. Get signed up at millionpoundmission.com. We've got free small group Zoom chat strategy sessions, one-on-one hot seat sessions, accountability sprint week. We've got the battle plan workbook resources, so many great things. And you need a little bit of support, and this is your favorite price. Free! Head on over and get signed up at millionpoundmission.com.